My viewers, today we have a very legendary personality with me, Dr. Abdul Hafeez Shaikh, who is a man of a distinct career, spans decades in both national and international arena. He has served Pakistan at the highest level as a finance minister, minister of privatization, and finance minister, and also to the advisor to the Prime Minister on finance, navigating the country through some of its most challenging economic periods. His wisdom, pragmatism, and deep understanding and education has led him to do all these things. He was educated at Boston University and with the teaching credentials from Howard University. Dr. Abdul Hafeez Shaikh has not only contributed to economic but also practiced what he preached, serving with the World Bank and advising nations across the globe on reforms, growth, and governance. But beyond his academic brilliance and his policy experience lies a deep love for Pakistan and for the principle on which this nation was founded. Dr. Hafeez, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, sir.
Please share with the audience of a very long career in this arena that what have you given to the world, what you have learned from the world.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. It's always a pleasure to be in the company of somebody with both a record and a personality like yours. MashaAllah, you are acknowledged both as a successful person, but even more importantly, as a lover of Pakistan and a good human being. So I'm really delighted to have the pleasure of talking to you and through you to your audience. I have been, in a sense, fortunate to have the opportunity to work in over 20 countries. And you know, the type of question that you are asking, okay, what does one learn from a experience that involves a diverse set of countries in different stages of development, different histories, and different set of challenges.
Yes.
And yet the big question is of relevance to every person and the leaders of every country. Okay, why is it that some countries were able to go far and
Right.
others continue to languish?
Right.
So as a student of history and of the development process, this is a question that has always interested me.
Right.
And when you begin to evaluate, okay, Second World War, at that time, most countries were either devastated or just becoming newly emergent
Right.
from colonial, past. And yet, you find that some countries were able to increase their per capita income by 5 times and others by 20 times.
Right.
And you find that a country like Pakistan has a per capita income of about $1,600,
Right.
while a country like Singapore has, close to about $90,000.
Right.
And as you know, in our lifetime, we saw this happen. China, for example, brought 700 million people out of poverty.
Yes.
And they were, economically speaking, not doing well at all in the first, 40, 50 years of their post-revolution period.
Right.
So when people and experts ask these questions and undertake global surveys and deep analysis, what they discover is that there are a few things that are shared by these successful countries. Successful meaning that they were able to increase the prosperity of their citizens.
Right.
And what are those things? The first is that all the countries who were able to increase the incomes of their people across a wide number is that they were able to do business with the rest of the world. Nobody has done it alone.
Right.
And so this is a very important lesson, and I think a lesson that needs to be remembered and reminded. And as you can see when we begin talking about Pakistan, how especially relevant that is.
Right.
If you cannot sell their products to others, then you cannot generate the dollars or the foreign exchange needed to buy the things that your people need to improve their quality.
Right.
And the second point that these countries have in common is that they relied excessively upon the private sector.
Right. They do.
You see, in our country, there's a tendency to either exaggerate the role of the government or to focus almost exclusively on how they have performed. When in reality, governments are important for policy making, for regulation, for ensuring that rules get followed and that the contracts are obeyed. All those things are important. But in the end, if your private sector, if your business, people cannot form regional or global alliances, if they cannot improve the quality and productivity of their products, or if they cannot establish marketing channels,
right.
then, as I have said in the past, the government people are like coaches, but the players are the businesses.
Right.
For example, you live here in the US and understand how much potential there is in this relationship.
Yeah,
and yet, somehow our exports or our trade languishes in the $5 to $7 billion range.
Right.
And we have to come back to this question on why is it that if other countries have been able to penetrate these markets, why our businesses have not been. So that's the second point. The third point is that a lot of these people focused on their people.
Right.
You see, if you look at the top 15, 20 countries in the world, the one distinguishing feature is that they develop their people.
Right.
You cannot really be developed if your people are not developed. When you look at Pakistan's resources, for example, they have virtually everything. They have a 800 plus kilometer coastline. They have abundant supply of water, which they have to protect in the future. They have all kinds of mines. They have all kinds of land that's fertile.
Right.
They have dairy products that are fifth largest in the world.
Right.
They have a track record in generating high quality fruits and vegetables and so on. So there is a tremendous resource base. And yet when you look at countries like Japan or Singapore, who do not have those kind of resources that we do, but yet they have per capita incomes that are 50 times more than ours. And the reason, Dr. Saab, is because they have one very important resource, which is their people, who are educated, who are dynamic, who are disciplined. And so Pakistan has 3 ports and Singapore has only 1.
Right.
And yet, that's the best run airport.
Right.
We used to have a national airline.
Right.
Or we kind of still have.
Right.
And its situation. and Singapore has an airline too.
Right.
But that's the best run in the world. So what I'm saying is these three considerations
Right.
are very important.
Right.
An exposure to the global economy.
Right.
Number two, a reliance on a dynamic private sector business with links to the relevant groups and individuals and partnerships. And number three, a dynamic, educated
Very
population.
Dr. Hafeez Shaikh, many people who work in this country, like America,
Yes.
get educated, work in World Bank, and then after they retire, they have a love for Pakistan to serve.
Yes.
You have a unique distinction that while at your peak of your career, you resigned and left for Pakistan for the love of Pakistan.
Yes.
And that is not enough. You continued in almost most of the administration, including military and civilian, and you are deeply interested in Pakistan's welfare, and you have done a lot in that. Knowing that you know all this experience that you have in Pakistan, would you comment on the current economic condition of Pakistan today?
Yes. I like to divide your question's answer into two parts.
Right.
First is a more general kind of view on Pakistan and its economy, and then on the more specifics of the current economic situation.
Right.
You see, the economy does not operate in and by itself.
Right.
It operates in an environment that's influenced by what's happening globally. It operates in an environment that is affected by the region. So historically, if you look at Pakistan, we have been in the center of many of the global conflicts, and our own region is seen as a difficult neighborhood. And that has contributed towards a perception of ongoing conflict, security situations, and even for a decade or longer, a struggle with terrorism.
Yes.
And that has had, obviously, an impact in dampening the enthusiasm of certain important economic players.
Right.
And it has somehow deterred them. And so that's one very. Second, Pakistan's history is going to give you a lot of examples of political discord
Right.
and uncertain institutional arrangements, which also have historically made it difficult to have a predictability of policies. And, for example, if you see that no prime minister since the creation of Pakistan in 1947 has ever completed his or her tenure. And Dr. Saab, that the longest serving single-term prime minister in the history of Pakistan remains Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan, the first prime minister. So that is an indication of the kind of turmoil that this country has endured.
Right.
And often when we have had successful growth periods, they have been followed by political protests to get rid of the governments, and which have in themselves contributed towards raising the economic costs. So this is a general situation that we need to understand. Now, if you talk about the economy itself, you see, we are a couple years back, we were sort of in a full-blown economic crisis.
Right.
There were, the exchange rate had appreciated in a way that it had been suppressed, and then suddenly there was a political situation in the country. There were a series of governments, and there were certain lapses and so on.
Right.
And that contributed
Right.
towards it. And people were, and the experts were quite nervously looking at the situation.
Right. Very.
Because we have high external debt, and that exposes us
Right.
to a vulnerability.
Right.
And if that is coupled with quick political transitions, and you have a failure to communicate with the international markets,
Right.
then the markets, make up their own mind.
Right. They do.
And they don't really get influenced by presidents and prime ministers or people like that, even if they are presidents of very powerful countries. So now what has happened here is that focusing on this particular current situation is that we have had a year in which some stability has been achieved.
Right.
And I think we should acknowledge that. The exchange rate has been stable around the rate of 280 or so. We have had a period of low growth, but at the same time, you have a situation where the public finances are beginning to be stabilized. And you have a primary balance which is in surplus.
Right.
And you have an IMF program that is on track.
Right.
So these are some of the positives.
Right.
On the other hand, some of the vulnerabilities remain. For example, if the growth rate is going to be in the range of 2 to 3%, and our population also remains in the range of 2%, which is one of the highest in the world,
Right.
then clearly the per capita, per person income is not going to increase, because if your economy grows at 2% and your population grows at 2%,
Right.
that means you're canceling the numerator and the denominator, and you are going to stay more or less in the same place. So that is a big challenge, how to tackle the phenomenal growth in population combined with the low growth in the income, or what the economists call the GDP, which is their
right.
definition of all the goods and services that are produced
Right.
within a year. At the same time, we also have high costs of many government companies
Right.
that are not realizing their potential.
Right.
And there's opportunity cost, meaning all that capital that is
Right.
stuck is not productive enough.
Right.
And the government, or repeated governments since a very long time, have not had success in transferring these into hands of legitimate and well-functioning private businesses,
Right.
so that they can make them fully contributing towards the economy.
Right.
And so that challenge is also there.
There.
And I think we have stability, but we need both to find a way to accelerate growth,
Right.
and also an important consideration in Pakistan, which I think is not sufficiently highlighted,
Right.
is that we have 5 governments instead of 1.
How do you explain
Because we have 4 provinces.
that? Yes.
And in the current scheme of things, the divisible pool of resources that we have is divided in the following ratio. Out of 100 rupees, 2.5% goes to the provinces, okay, or rather 57.5, and 42.5 goes to the center.
Center.
So what it means is that the things that matter to the people, the quality of life indicators, they are largely in the hands of the provincial governments.
Right.
So when we look at the statistics and we find that the quality of life indicators, what I mean by that is
Right.
that if basic education is low,
Right.
that's a provincial subject.
Right.
If drinking water is inadequate, that's a provincial subject.
Right.
And similarly, municipal waste, garbage disposal, maternity and child care, police services, public safety, all these municipal services, they are there. And I think if the governments of the provinces are receiving all this additional resources, we have to try and focus
Right.
on their performance.
Right.
And we have to give more scrutiny.
Right.
Because also, if you realize that the incentives for the businesses are generated both by the public policies, not just of the federal government, but also the provincial governments.
Right.
So we have to try and have a full government response if we are to have a complete design of incentives
Right.
for the private sector.
Right.
And I think that's another important distinguishing feature of Pakistan that needs, in my view, to be better understood. And I really developed an appreciation of this when I worked as a Minister of Finance and Planning and Development in Sindh in 2000 to 2003. And that was a period I discovered the enormous potential the provincial governments have to contribute towards improving the quality of life, improving the prosperity of the citizens, and also improving towards better macroeconomic numbers overall.
Hafeez Shaikh, the subject you just touched about, the growth 2%, population growth 2%. How do you suggest with this inflation which is going on and unemployment, what is you think, in your view, is the biggest policy gap today to mitigate this kind of unemployment?
Yes. Well, first of all, I should have mentioned amongst the positives
Right.
also that inflation has been brought down.
Right.
Last year it was 20% plus, and now it's in the 4.5 to 5% range.
Right.
So that is going to really, inflation is a kind of a tax on the public.
Right.
And the real income is dependent on the prices, not just on the rupees you earn. So that is, but we have had severe inflation for a few years. So people have really lost their capacity to
Right.
pay. And I think we have to continue with anti-inflationary policies
Right.
aggressively. And if you combine that with unemployment, and if the growth rates remain low,
Right.
for example, the large-scale manufacturing growth in the year that just concluded was negative. So we cannot really sustain that kind of negative performance, that instead of growing it, in fact, shrank
Right.
by about 1.5%.
Right.
So this whole issue of what is a single thing, I think we have to try to resist going into thinking of what is a single thing. Because the development process is quite complicated.
Right.
And my answer, which is not very exciting, but I think perhaps is realistic, is that many things have to be done right. And that's why I'm saying it has to be an across-the-board government response. And Dr. Saab, in our country, we have good examples that when the country as a whole is functioning, like if you take the government's management of the COVID crisis,
Right.
we were able to mobilize not just the federal government, but the armed services, the provincial governments, private sector, businesses to come together.
Right.
And we were able to offer a range of incentives
Right.
to mitigate the negative impact. We were able to offer a variety of subsidies and variety of loan deferments and so on. And we were able to use the cash transfer scheme
Right.
in an effective way. So if we can do that, that's because we are all working together.
Right.
And similarly, we have a good, decent cash transfer program,
Right.
which has been adopted by every government. And I think that those are examples that one can give to demonstrate that when we are working with appreciation of what internationally is acceptable or is seen
Right.
as workable, and we get the whole range of government institutions to respond,
Right.
then I think we can make an impact. And that's what's needed overall, that how to get the monies that are going to the provincial governments,
Right.
which is, when you add that up and then you add up the monies that are also going from the federal government to Azad Jammu and Kashmir and to
Right.
Gilgit-Baltistan. And the federal government is responsible for interest payments and, of course, for national defense and for the running of the civilian government and for the public sector development program
Right.
and for additional special grants to the provinces.
Right.
So if the provincial tax mobilization doesn't also increase, then our national number is, not really going to be where it needs to be.
Right.
And similarly, a very important thing is the quality of efficiency of investment.
Right.
A lot of money is spent in these public sector development programs.
Right.
But when I was a Minister of Planning and Development in Sindh, I saw that these are like graveyards of projects, where projects, very hard-earned money or borrowed money, are spent in projects that are often left incomplete.
Right.
And they might be complete in a technical construction sense, but they are not operational.
Operational.
You see, if a hospital building is made but doesn't have electricity or gas or running water or furniture or equipment,
Right.
and above all, quality doctors.
Yeah.
So then these are the things that we need to do and focus in our development programs on completion of projects,
Right.
and not just completion, but the operationalization of the projects. So a lot of our assets are, in a way, dead assets.
Right.
Because the monies are spent up to 70, 80%, and then they languish.
Right.
And in the harsh climate of our country, in some parts,
Right.
they begin to deteriorate even before they have been operationalized.
Right.
So this is where our planning and development departments and the people who are working.
Right.
And another area, obviously, is that capital is available.
Right.
How do we tap into it?
Right.
And, we are considered to be one of the major losers or targets of the climate, considerations that are negatively impacting.
Yeah. Very negative.
But we have to, that's a window for us to try and get our act together.
Right.
Almost $1.9 trillion of climate-related financing is available.
Right.
And we are acknowledged as one of the principal, victims.
Victim, of course.
So how are we going to generate and mobilize to secure even a small portion of the funds that are available? Capital in the trillions of dollars is available to the rest of the world. We have to figure out how are we going to secure a very tiny portion of that.
Right.
That will be enough to generate economic activity. And this old style thinking that governments have to, run things and also finance things.
Right.
Governments should make good policies, should
Right.
design incentives properly, and ensure that the laws are not broken,
Yes.
and that no price gouging is taking place. But the private sector, both in our country and in the world, private sector has no nationality. I think that it's only looking for opportunity.
Right.
And the traditional areas of even building drinking water schemes or roads or even public safety programs, they can easily get or attract money from the private sector.
Right. Sheikh Sahab, I want to touch where you just talked about the borrowed money.
Yes.
It's a great topic to talk about.
Yes.
The Pakistan continues to rely on IMF funding, bailouts, and the related structural reforms, the bilateral loans from countries like China, Saudi Arabia. What do you believe that this current external debt situation is sustainable, or are we heading towards a default risk?
Yes. Clearly, if any country borrows money, and especially from international sources, and does not use it properly, then over time the capacity to repay gets eroded.
Right.
And the amount, begins to become threatening to the economy. Now, I want to divide my answer again into two parts. The first is about the IMF.
Right.
And then I will talk generally about external debt.
Right.
The Pakistanis often get rather emotional and sometimes excessively worried about the IMF and IMF program.
Right.
Now, the truth is that the IMF has been created as an institution by all the countries of the world precisely to provide support to those countries who have macroeconomic problems. And so that's okay to avail of that facility. And why the IMF is a better source than some other countries is first because their money that you borrow is less expensive than borrowing from the market. Second, when you borrow from the IMF, you are signaling to the markets and to the rest of the world that you are aiming for a balance and an austerity and of financial discipline. And that is a good signal to send to the others. And sometimes the other international institutions, like the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and so on, they also want that you are, if in an IMF program, they are more inclined to give you the funding at lower rates and in greater number.
Right.
So that is, and even some of our friends, whom we call friends, from whom we borrow,
Right.
they are obviously to be appreciated, but again, they would like that you are in a financial discipline
Right.
mode,
Right.
and they would encourage you to do that. The friends are not really a substitute for the IMF, but to the extent that they roll over some of the funding, which means that we are borrowing from them also. It's not a cash grant, it's borrowing, but it helps you have a buffer to, a signal to the rest of the world that you are not in imminent danger. Now, about paying the external debt and or the interest or the amounts that are due to them every year is very important.
Right.
And I think that is what a lot of the credit rating agencies, the market players, the investors look at. And so we have to ensure, and I think so far we have, that payment, is always paid on time. Otherwise, clearly, the markets can make negative assessments about us.
Now I'll go to the revenue cycle.
Yes.
The revenue taxation, why Pakistan struggles to increase its tax to GDP. And what do you think are the bold reform missing which needs to be done?
Yes. Well, Pakistan historically has had a problem of not being able to raise taxes beyond a point. And the reasons for that are both because a large section of our economy has operated historically in an informal way.
Right.
And secondly, political leadership has often been a little hesitant to go after what they think are politically important constituencies, both by the provincial governments in the agriculture sector or by the federal government in terms of urban shop owners or professionals. And at the same time, I think in the last year, one of the relatively good performances has been the increase in the tax revenue, even though it fell below the government's own targets, but still it's a significant increase. Now, opinions are always divided on how best to try and raise revenues, because there is also a danger that if you squeeze the economy too much to raise taxes, that doesn't necessarily, work towards the expansion of growth.
Right.
But I think overall, we need to continue to generate revenues. And this, again, is an area where federal and provincial governments have to work together.
Right.
Because when you look at the national fiscal deficit, it's a combination of provincial and federal. And when we talk to the IMF also expects, and we should also expect, that the overall numbers of tax collection or the overall numbers of expenditures are, as a country as a whole, are the outcome of all the provinces and the center. So this is an area where I think better appreciation, better coordination, and better straight talk is needed.
Sheikh Saab, Pakistanis back home and here, one of the topics they do discuss there and here is corruption and leakage of public finance, which remains a problem even today. What is the realistic ways to improve fiscal discipline and accountability?
Yes. Well, again, the question you raise is not just about the economic consequences of corruption. Obviously, it has wider consequences. First, you have to realize that there's too much of government in Pakistan. And if you see the sectors they operated in, is quite excessive. Similarly, within any sector, there are multiple agencies that are involved. For example, if you look at the fisheries sector, there will be federal government, there will be provincial government, there will be local government. And the number of government agencies involved would be more than 20 in just one sector. When I was, Minister of Finance in Sindh, I realized that there were 24 inspectors from different government agencies that would go to a single company in a given year. And I had to, consolidate them into 4. But what I'm saying is that is the proliferation that we have. Now, if we have so many government employees and so many government departments, at the federal, provincial, and local government, clearly that costs money. And then we have government operating in commercial activity and not operating in not a very, efficient way. So those monies have to be coughed up also. What we need to do, I think, is to try and find ways to have businesses rather than bureaucrats running the purely commercial enterprises. To give you an example, when I was the privatization minister, for example, in 3 years, 2003 to 2006, we were able to privatize companies like, important companies, Habib Bank, Karachi Electric, United Bank, just before, in that same period, and virtually the entire banking system, oil refineries, telecommunications. And you can see that they have been, so in just those 3 years that I was there, we were able to do 34 companies handed over to the private sector, and for $5 billion. And that amount could be used to pay off debt or to undertake, much needed other reforms or more productive activity. Just to give you an indication that I left in 2006, and in the 19 years since then, virtually zero privatization has taken place. So what we need to do is get serious about it and get, it to be an important agenda. And try and get the most out of these, institutions that exist and are, actually not performing up to their potential. Similarly, as we talked earlier, there are monies available in the world and even in Pakistan for doing the kind of things that we think somehow the government has to finance. You can build toll roads without government having to cough up the money. And people will do it, and other people will be happy to pay tolls if they are reasonable. And get from one place to the other faster, or get their businesses or get their equipments to move fast. And so I think so many other countries have done it. And I think we have the potential.
Yes. You're talking vision and hope.
Yes.
And I like that because you are touching what is to be done today in Pakistan. If you are asked to come and help Pakistan again, to design something for next 10 years, what will be your top 3 economic priorities for Pakistan as of today?
Well, first of all, whenever my country has, or its leadership has summoned me and been demanding that I come and contribute, I have always, tried to do the best I could. And that's very important, that many of us who are successful in their different fields find the time and the inclination to go and contribute towards Pakistani development.
Right.
Of course, I'm all for Pakistanis doing well anywhere in the world.
Right.
Because they earn a lot of respect for Pakistan. They also earn valuable foreign exchange,
Right.
and remit a portion of it to Pakistan, and they improve the quality of their own life as well as their skill set.
Right.
So that's a very, very important resource we have, the expat Pakistani community. On the other hand, what I would do or what anyone should do is basically no different from learning from the experience of other countries, which was our first question.
Right.
That, we cannot really bring prosperity to Pakistan unless we find a way to sell our products to others. You see, our exports are in the $30 billion range. And look at our needs. When we get up in the morning, if you want to have a cup of tea, you have to find foreign exchange to pay Kenya or Sri Lanka.
Right.
If you want to have, cook your food, you need palm oil from Indonesia or Malaysia. You need dollars for that.
Right.
If you are going out in a, in a motorcycle, you need to pay Kuwait or whoever you are getting the. When you turn on the gas thing, you have to pay Qatar for that. And the list goes on and on and on. So if our exports merely increase by, $4 or $5 billion and the imports increase by $10 to $12 billion,
Right.
then already we are in a deficit that has enhanced.
Right.
So this is, a tough and somewhat perhaps boring message. But what I'm saying is, if you don't generate dollars or foreign exchange in sufficient amounts, how are you going to not be poor? So I think that's a person is poor because they don't have dollars.
Right.
And similarly, countries are poor if they don't have dollars.
Right.
And the way to earn them is to find a way to sell your stuff. But if you are going to be in agriculture, always less efficient than the next person, then how are you going to sell it?
Right.
Just to give you an example, I was at that time in 1990, I was at Harvard, and I was asked to go and give a talk to the cabinet of Vietnam, and they were trying to understand how the market economy works.
Right.
When I landed in Hanoi, it's not an exaggeration to say that there was hardly a single car in the capital of Vietnam in 1990.
Oh, my God.
And, I was able to work with them in an advisory capacity for a bit. And you know what their situation is now, that Pakistan exports $30 billion and they export $400 billion.
Right.
Those exports include, telecommunications and, other high gadget items.
Right.
And a lot of Chinese production also takes place, Chinese finance production takes place in Vietnam.
Right.
So they have fundamentally altered the quality of life in the last 25 years.
Right.
And, we obviously have to appreciate that. Look at Ireland. Their
Yes.
per capita income has reached, amongst the top 5 in the world.
Right.
Why? Because they are able to attract high quality people and companies to come there and set up shop, and they have been able to export their products to others. So if you look at even China, why were they able to bring the hundreds of millions of people out of poverty? Is because they were able to sell their stuff. And I think the markets will accept anybody's stuff, so long as the quality is of a threshold level as well as the price is competitive.
Right.
So I think whatever is needed to try and focus on that, because these are steps. Similarly, if the FDI, if Pakistani businessmen are not going to be able to form partnerships or attract global players to come with their money to earn a good, return by selling their products internationally but manufactured in Pakistan, then I think there is no other kind of a formula that anybody has that does not rely upon international markets, international alliances, business deals, and eventually converting that into a population that has the skills. Because as we go further and further in the future, the skills, the modern technologies, the newly emerging areas where, for climate finance or cryptocurrency, or even the kind of assets we have in copper and gold and even rare earth, these are important assets, but if they are never uncovered or dug out of the ground, then that's just, they say that Pakistan is a country that never misses an opportunity to miss an opportunity.
I wish it should be true
so
all
I think,
the time.
so I think, at the same time, we have to understand that Pakistan, I gave you two examples. There are many areas in which Pakistan can do well, that it has done well, and whether it is the private-public partnership, whether it is the search for foreign investors, whether it's this incentivizing our own businesses, all these things are important. The excessive reliance upon what the government is doing in explaining the whole of the country's, business situation is probably misguided. Yes, the federal government has a role for policy making, and it has a role to set up good regulatory institutions which don't take dictation from the federal government but are operated by independent experts who set the right kind of rules for entry, for pricing, for exit, and at the same time to motivate the private sector, both national and global, to come with their resources and allow people and businesses to thrive and flourish, and then allow that to get transferred into building a better skill set.
Dr. Hafeez Shaikh, it was a fascinating talk you've done. Last night we had a dinner together with the family and friends with here in Houston, and we did not realize that you come from a very long background of family. I would like my audience to share your family, your political family's role before Pakistan was even created and after Pakistan.
Well, I'm a great believer in merit and in hard work and in attempting to excel on one's own. I feel too much is made in Pakistan of one's ancestors and one's families. And sadly, that has also, in a way, been an infliction in our political, scene, and has shaped our history also, not always in the best way. But, my family is from Sindh. My grandfather, Abdul Sheikh, was an associate of Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He and Mir Jafar Khan Jamali and others established the Muslim League and the movement for Pakistan in a person. And my other grandfather, maternal grandfather, Shahid Allah Baksh Sumro, was a twice the Premier of Sindh in the 1930s and after the first election in Sindh in 1938 and later. My father, Abdul Sheikh, was the senior vice president of Pakistan People's Party under Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. My uncles, Ilahi Baksh Sumro and Aftab Shaban Mirani and Rahim Baksh Sumro were also ministers. Ilahi Baksh was also a speaker in the National Assembly.
Right.
Had cousins also who were in politics and ministers or members of.
Right.
Another cousin of mine, Mohammad Mia Sumro, was acting prime minister and chairman of the Senate. So all in all, the family has had a lot of participation. My mother was the Secretary General of Pakistan People's Party for Sindh Province. And so I think the family has tried to play its part in politics and in public life. And I was fortunate to get, training as an economist and was able to work as a technical person and work across different governments, and it was a pleasure. These jobs are demanding. They
Right.
take a toll on you and your family. But ultimately, Pakistan is our country. We love it. And we are motivated by the personality and the conduct of our father of the nation, Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah as well. So I think Pakistan has a destiny, and we have to figure out ways to fulfill it.
Absolutely. Dr. Hafeez Shaikh, what a wonderful interview we had on economy. You are invited after this interview to give a small talk on Father of the Nation, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. In Houston, on the 22nd of February this year, a Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah library has been established, which has over 300 books, the largest collection of books written on Muhammad Ali Jinnah under one roof. And I serve as their chairman of the organization and for Jinnah Library. My connection with you is more stronger when I hear that you are a great admirer and supporter of the legacy of Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. We're going to hear your lecture and you're going to visit there. And I like you had shown me a picture way in 1938 where Jinnah and some of the Sindhi leadership was around him, your forefathers, your grandfathers, and your family. And Jinnah is a personality that father of the nation. My own identity here in Houston after 45 years is Pakistan. I believe in Pakistan, prosperity. I want to give Pagham-e Pakistan, a message of peace of Pakistan, of prosperity. A Pakistan which is made on 27th of Ramadan, an Islamic state, and my father of the nation said, no power on earth can undo Pakistan. I really believe in that. And I believe that the country which is created in the name of God will live to the entirety of ever since the universe will remain in this whole universe. I want to commend and thank you for your time and your patience for asking me tough questions. And I will share that you share your thoughts about Father of the Nation, Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, with my audience and your thoughts on him.
Well, I think Jinnah, as he was then called, was acknowledged as perhaps the greatest lawyer in India. And he was a man of substance, he was a man of determination, and above all, a man of vision.
Right.
And he could take on anybody, he could take on the odds. When he started on the journey, it seemed totally formidable, totally unattainable.
Right.
To create an entire nation. And he stayed the course. And he demonstrated both to the English and to the other leaders of India that those who wanted Pakistan, according to his vision, where people can thrive irrespective of the type of beliefs they have in terms of religion or in terms of political ideology. And he believed in merit, and he believed in the pursuit of excellence. And I think that he was able, through determination and through resolve and through distinguished conduct, to fulfill that dream, I think is perhaps one of the greatest milestones in the history of the 20th century. And I think we will always remember him and be thankful to him.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Hafeez Shaikh, for a very illustrious talk today. And we love Pakistan. And let's say one thing loud enough: Pakistan Zindabad.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.